Ken, another thing while I'm at explaining the discrepancy, I think I'll try to do you all a favor, but it's not really like a favor. It's like a half demon, two-faced type of thing. These other dudes who are older gentlemen who don't have the time or the fucking patience to put up a flag and then sit there and keep things a certain installational correct. So, or installationally correct or whatever. I'm not mad at it. I understand it. I don't want to deal with them either. They're all a fucking waste of time. But let's get back to the point. Let's watch out for these two characters. One is the really good, humble motherfucker that wanted you to explain to him what was going on in your side of the story so that it's not that you're guilty or anything, but they have a certain type of level and power and wanted to help you out or wanted at least the story so that they could complete it without just sitting there listening to a shitty story of people just arguing. Because, you have to end the conversation. So they're sitting there smiling at you and kind of like waiting for you to explain your victim story or your side of the story or a positive story. That's not Hypnox, but it's just one of those fucking things where it's like, all right, I understand this, gentleman, because like they're just kind of like keeping it at a certain level. So it's not like we're not always sad. We're not always unhappy. We're not always suffering them, and they don't need to suffer them. So they're humbly happy and trying to listen to your story, the side of the story, so they can make a better judgment for everyone else or to go back to living their lives and be like, well, you were heard, so that they could do anything that they possibly could. It's sometimes people get annoyed by it and get mad because it's not like arrogant, but it's just sometimes off-putting because everybody else is uncomfortable or depressed or in that state of being of where they're mad at the person and this person just seems happy while the other person that they're mad at is like, seeming to take advantage of them. But anyways, it's just one of these things. Now we get back to, all right, I don't really have a problem with that type of person because I know what's going on in that situation. Now the second heads up is that the two-faced motherfucker who's a certain age and is of a certain appropriacy and all that bullshit, or a certain level of like, yeah, you's all right looking dude and all that. Pretending to be two-faced, I just highly disagree with you. I don't attack you because I know what's going on, and everybody else that knows what's going on. So if you ever figure it out, don't bother them, don't attack them, don't make big problems with them. Like, they seem to get off on it and like it that you're wrong about them, and I don't know what kind of self-serving shit that is, but that's just some of them. Now it gets back to their directive hustle thing. No, their directive hustle thing about what they're actually doing and shit, about their directive hustle thing, about what they're doing. And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, they could stand to make some money, but that money's probably for someone else and we don't know and we don't care. But like what the real fucking issue is that my point is those people, I know that they like taking some kind of a weird like consequence from the problem, and then it's kind of like they can say, see, they don't accept that type of behavior, and then they go back and mind their business. What they really want to do is be alone and go tackle the issue. You know what Hypnox does? Respects that feeling without them saying it and just leaves. You can just kind of tell. Between men, I guess. You can just kind of tell, like, it's just like, that dude was wrong and I don't want to talk about it. I don't think it's society's burden or the other burden. But being two-faced enough that you can go back to a singles fight with them makes the world think that that's either true, but when you take the punishment for that in a little bit of a way and then go your own way like you were a low life and a slop, it's not really a positive thing for Hypnox or people like Hypnox that are actually waging their own flag and putting up, like, what they know is real honor. So, like, I take a lot of hits and sacrifice for this bullshit, but it's also the fact that when you do that, it does hurt me a little bit, but I do understand it as a man. Like, how are you going to do anything alone if there's just going to be some dumbass brigade always trying to convince you how you should deal with things? Because then you start to realize that the injustices is that they wanted to save them for some other kind of torture, which puts more stress on society itself to behave more like a fucking assmonger, an idiot, and an overall ignorant, dumb motherfucker. And we don't know why you like to do that. And the worst part is the other person who's intellectual and wants it fixed, wants to improve it by telling us everything and making it so fucking aware of everything that they're only paranoid or thinking about judgment or fighting even more blindly just in order to get rid of anything and everything to feel squashed of it. So all these different types don't work out in that situation, and Hypnox doesn't disagree with them, and it can be annoying that Hypnox doesn't just disagree with them. Now, after a little bit, and they've made their point, I immediately stop, disagree with them, and then I leave. Now, when I leave, I don't control all that bullshit. So, like fan bases, different secret underground cults, religions, all these other people that are facilitized to a certain level in life and would like to expose their status quo upon the market or us and our value systems, who know better than their personal fucking arrogance or ego, seem to deal with all these things rationally. So even if you didn't or didn't like Hypnox and the outcomes are usually some kind of sanity, these are these type of people that we do understand you. I will tell everyone, no, you're not insane. That all this shit really happened. All those things really do somewhat exist. And the surface reality of all those things is that the reality we currently live in is still evident and self-evident to the fact that all of those things are real and have a very courteous or a strong explanation or a complaining explanation, which should never be allowed because everyone descended appropriately to what they knew their bloodlines were real and worth, and what people hadn't to trick them of in what sex is not. But the truth is they all worked hard, so no one pays for sex that way. We mean that life is more costly than how you earn the opportunity to have a life, and vice versa. Because you shouldn't feel complete by taking anything from the world that you had earned. So, so on and so forth. But then we get back to the overall contract and what that has to do with the life and the embodiment of spirituality and reality at a surface. And yes, all of those things do come into play with normal common arousal or most people's common baser instincts and issues. So your basic instincts are always aligned and greatly manipulated to a proportion of the standard of life. So yes, all those fucking things matter. It's just weird, but the little things, but ultimately, is it really a big deal? It's not supposed to be. So eventually you're supposed to be back to your normal sanity. So just don't worry about any of the trivialization of it. What was the other thing I needed to say? Those are the three personality types that I really don't like or care for, but I understand. And I don't work as a robot. So power, intuity, is not blind to everything that people make a sacrifice for. But I just wanted to tell you all, for the record, those few stories are very fucking sad stories, and I wish you wouldn't do it. Doesn't help Hypnox. Understands that it helps you. Understands that it helps the world a little bit. Understand that it gives you some privacy to educate helping your life or whatever the fuck. God damn, I done forgot what the fuck else I was gonna say. And I wandered the fuck off. Yeah, and you know what? That's the best way of dealing with some things. Just wander the fuck off. But what's it called? I don't know. It's just a sad story. It's just a sad story. So I can't continue a reflection about those people, and there's really not much to me and them in that fucking story. But I do understand them, and I just don't work like a mindless robot for power. So we should never have any problems. I do think about it. It is sad. It does jeopardize me only a little bit, and I hope that you find a different, better road, or know that, like, I might have a way of dealing with some of your problems, but I don't expose that because you were already somewhat doing correctly and right for the things that you had to do. The other part is why someone would want to like take a whole argument from me in order to deal with the situation. I don't know why. But if you're competent and capable of dealing with that kind of crowd control or motivation or what their tutiancy is or some shit, I don't know. So whatever, I don't know, I don't care. It's not like they're my progeny or my little babies or anything. It's just not like that. So the professional mentality is that their curiosity is not my big deal. I usually wander off, but you want to talk about some self-discipline. Hell yeah, everybody was curious. Hell yeah, I got the fuck out of there. Because I already know enough to know what I have for some of my missions, so I'm just kind of like, I don't need to know this, and I'm out. To most things. I don't mind them. I don't even mind some of the people power commercials. I don't care about that. That's not what offends me, because I know they're about something, and they got to go live too. And they're good people, or they have some kind of motivation that isn't just fuck fucking evil or whatever. They like do good things. And I know some of them ain't even fucking perfect. Like, I mean, I'd love to name drop, but there are like clinical, psychological, philosophical, strong, real reasons why that old lady didn't want to get off the bus. So they continued her story and they keep revolutionizing the story and carrying it in modern times. But you're annoyed seeing it on the news or even on the fucking airplane, or it even seems like treason at times. And it's not really treason. It's a emotional act of display of what life and society is supposed to know better than, about how you judge a situation that is supposed to be morally correct for people in society to live and embrace full culture. Now, you might know some of the people that I'm talking about, and I'm not a hater of them. I actually completely understand. But it's not that I think that society is too hard on them, which they a little bit are, but it's like they can't tell you what that is because you're supposed to know better. So if you failed us, we're used to leaving the opportunity for them to figure out and then going, because if we can't get back to give you it, or if we give it to you, you usually want to debate and argue with something that's already absolutely correct. It was better for the little old lady on the bus. So they did that for the little old lady on the bus. Read between the lines. Read between the lines. The storybook can't end that way because they have to go and re-revolutionize that, because as soon as you forget that, old people are getting like harassed on the bus by authority figures if we stop doing bullshit like that, because they think America isn't a parking lot, so you can't just sit at the mall for more than 30 minutes. That's your young ass fault. That's your young ass fault. Do you ever agree with that part and then just dismiss it and then know that you can sit there for like an hour and 30 and like party and hang out without bringing overt attention to yourself? But if you were there for less than 30 minutes and they already had a problem with you, maybe you did do something wrong. Maybe you look shady. Maybe you wear a different outfit that next day that you want to chill there longer. I don't know, whatever. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying. So like all of these things are in what it is to actually be a radical or revolutionary in the new modern world. You have to hold these old consequences up, and not just to mock them, but for the fact that if society doesn't understand, you have a new problem. So that means you went and dealt with it intellectually different. So for a glancing blow at this, let's say that like you understand that what America is being paranoid about at the time, which I'm not at the liberty of saying, but some of the other people that knew what was going on are able to say that. So anyway, we get back to the fucking point is that in society that they don't understand, they go back to doing something else about what they think privacy is or what they think their stock market quota is and all those other extra fucking things. So, you know, whatever. So, you know, they end up going to go do different things, which is fine. And it's intellectually kind of correct because you shouldn't be hassling them about how they make money on their own in secrecy, because it may not be why they're evil, and it demonizes it to the point where like, who the fuck cares? They're rich. I don't care. I'm going to go get my own money. And my response is, I don't understand anyone else, because my response has always been like, so what? I'm going to go get my own money. But they cheated, but they made some money to survive. Like, I don't care, because like when they cheat like that, it's like, what do you think they had in mind? So like, and even when there's some things wrong with it, we would prefer, like when you mention every fucking thing that they could do wrong, it's like, yeah, of course I'd rather see them live off of $300 a month. Get out of America slowly or something. You know what I mean? Or get out of the country slowly or something. But intellectually, we don't belong to a country. So let's think in the upper stratosphere for a moment and review back to the point that I'm really making about this. Those people that they get on in society, they kind of get off on it when you're wrong about them. So be careful. Use your perception. Wouldn't you help that old lady secure a seat on the fucking bus? We're not talking about the old lady that you've been taught in school. We're talking about forever, whoever the Jackie Onassis is, or the modern day woman is that comes to a certain age. You wouldn't help her secure a seat on the bus, young man? And I'm talking about like a 6'2" sprawling like thug dude who looks like he's on the other side of every fucking conversation as a monster and can easily hide amongst them. He wants to tell you, don't you think that? Yes, of course. Of course, we all think that we want her to have a seat on the goddamn bus. So, even when we're wrong about our analysis of them in society, of course, we're not crybabies. We don't want a fucking giant, like, fucking marketing commercial situation about what we're supposed to do for society, like help her walk across the road. That'd be a better commercial than some of the commercials they give, but I wasn't offended. But generally, yeah, we don't want them being taken advantage of, really. Or the real translation is that's lame that you would, like, put up an old lady to that fucking type of commercial for something that you're not invested in for all of us, and then use us like that unless it's actually about helping society. And no matter what business you choose, we're not interested in it. It'll still seem lame because it's like, oh, one business gets the profit of all of our work, so we're fucked over forever. So it's just not a two-party system, and it never will be. You always have leadership. You always have a bunch of different generals. You always have people who act out in order to do the best good and cause for life. So let's get back to my moral obligated point. You're not morally obligated, so it doesn't have to seem lame. You don't have to hate it. Don't worry about it. I just wanted you to understand that yes, society is too hard. Because the dude, and you guys may even know, but I just don't name drop. The dude is still in stigma for more than about 7 to 10 years over that same situation and the few other situations he created, because no one was aware enough in society to understand why the world is like, when you ever get threatened and you're like, who cares? The world's actually lawless. So you have to stand up for yourself, know what's going on a little bit, and be able to get back to reality. He tried to give you a gift, and you slapped it in the face, kind of. But when it comes, because if we wanted to be mean about it, but he didn't say anything, and you're still making him carry the stigma of it. But he knows it's better that you remember like him for that than why eventually you'll see the real answer, but you'll never admit it out of arrogance or out of your natural intuition. So we get some time, just make it up to those people. Get them back into reality, get them back to their real head chat. Because like, it's not like they have to explain this shit to you, but they prefer not to, because the American secret is that we're all doing this to ensure that all of us good people are well taken care of. The acts of courtesy. Are you okay? Do you need a phone? How are you doing? No, you're fine here. The music isn't too loud, right? We're doing all right. How about a free cup of water? All of these little things to get a guy or an innocent man or an innocent woman or some innocent people just down the fucking hall or up the fucking road or doing some normal stuff, or with the ideal that they came there for the normal reason. So yeah, but by the end of it, when security comes to the royal flush of like everything that's wrong with life, or things that are minorly annoying, or what the world doesn't really understand about hold your ground or self-defense or honor your rights or right to bear arms, all of these things are so basic that I'm mentioning them only for the fact that like I want you to understand that these things all co-in-line to protecting some little lady on the bus, and they may not always look like what you're protecting. So the Constitution isn't written because, well, shall it be done? So he's going to skip that and say, shall it be done? So it's supposed to be done because it is written there. Now, of course, nothing is perfectly written, but you're supposed to know better in life. But life can be a tricky fucking thing. She could be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Maybe that's not Little Red Riding Hood. She might have been the fucking wolf. I bet the lady that wrote it liked the wolf more than she liked her whole story. Doesn't that bother you? She might be guilty. Now, life might be a little bit fucking tricky. She could be a hustler. You don't know. She's walking with a cane and her back just hurts. You don't fucking know. So when it comes back to the fucking truth, and she's not hustling us or nothing like that, we still have to live by the rule that like, holy shit, if she's not a hustler, let's help her out. And if she was hustling us that fucking badly, it would be like, what is everybody else doing to us, man? And then they don't even know whether to see the true path or whether they're just helping some old lady. They start losing their goddamn fucking mind. And then you can sitting there on the fucking bus holding a seat, or you're holding a seat on the fucking plane and you're yelling at the fucking guy. Now, of course, you know why we shouldn't and can't do certain things. But by the end of it, the moral lesson has to be left away to like, remember that. Each generation is protecting themselves. So when you see an older generation or an OG doing some weird shit like that, he's teaching you a life lesson. Now, that's just one that everybody would know. Now, all the other secret things about like, why you help the guy lift a box and then drop it over there, or why when Sir drops his hat, you should pick it up before the other person does. I don't know, just to stop them from being weird like that. Take care of your OG type of shit. He be coming timely and be dropping his fucking hat and shit. or leaving a fucking soda out. You just don't leave soda out. So anyway, it's just one of these things that all of these crazy different things in life have a surface reality that a lot of people can't see. And a lot of it has to do is that when you're being threatened and reality is already lawless, some people intellectually prove that it is lawless, so you have to take certain things into your own hands in order to uphold what is appropriate. Now, all of that is legal. You know, all of those things are to be abided by appropriately so that we can call it truth and justice and to honor and shit, you know? It's not the libertine philosophy that we're all committing to why we love the Statue of Liberty, or why you secretly think that we hate it. But anyways, we go back to the real liberties of what the value system is worth for the laws of integrity, which is that they're not as uptight as you think they are, so they don't need to understand this. That's how scary it becomes to your OG to not mess with you a little bit. Now, of course, I'm not messing with you. I'm just telling you the other factor of like, I don't like it either. It's a chore to me too. But I have to let them go down to their perspective thing and just say that I understand it so I don't bust them on it. It's just something that they gotta fucking do. And it's like sitting there like even when you see the other one and he's like sitting there and he's taking fruit and he's stealing fruit from the grocery store right there boldly in front of you and almost wants to get caught. He wants to know, like, in his own mind. It seems arrogant and it seems crazy, but I didn't say anything because he wants to know in his own mind that while his wife is cruising through the grocery store, that she can eat free fruit and vegetables to figure out which of her fruits and vegetables are the best and the most right for her to take what she has to go, what she wants to pick from the grocery store. So he's just sitting over there fucking, you know, like hurling through vegetables and fruit, eating random fruit and vegetables, and he wants that market secure. And that's it. That's how they're sitting there gambling each other. I don't know why it makes sense. It just makes sense. But because he didn't do it like really badly. But I'm talking about if they did it in a casual, like human manner. But if they were called in on it, it would be like now he has to go back there with his wife and children and bitch at them and yell at the fruit bar. It's shit like that they do. Now, these are all things that I understand and I don't have to agree with. You don't have to either. It is a chore. But these are all things that you should consider in life and just remember that Hypnox is not hard on these people. And even if you think that they're fucking annoying, it's about keeping the grifter fucking hustler kind of going because it helps the world get around quickly without having to figure out what the fuck is wrong with these people because they want to get elitist about everything. And if you can't let an orange free, then you're part of the same system that wants everybody to suffer for success. When you're perfect enough, why are you pushing so hard? You see what I'm saying? So I don't agree with him either, but that motherfucker won't lay down and take a break when we're all excellent fencers and warriors and we are prospectively supporting them. So stop egging it on. We don't need a fucking war for your money or proof of your money. We don't need that kind of commercial. So the commercial for humanity looks disgusting to you, but everybody who's up to a certain aptitude on the motherfucking test all knows this junk. And literally the only difference is that they leave a ticket, a marker, and prove this shit. Every once in a while they prove this shit, so it's not even a commercial. It's just a commercial for humanity. Why the fuck would we need one? We're getting our asses kicked. Don't you think that we kind of are sometimes? Like, you don't even know the real reason for crime and punishment. You don't even know what a burglar is. Like we could go down the list, and then even when a criminal has to tell you, and then you know what's weird? Most criminals don't even know why. And it's like other countries' judgments, and then they want to start blaming the other country and arguing with them. I had some crazy international OGs, so it's not like they're anti-American or anything, but if I told you all the arguments that they make ridiculous, it's in the spite that all of that system is ridiculous because they knew you were trying to get the fruit of God. So just stay the fuck away from all of this. It's too greedy for the motherfucking guard or some shit. So we get back to the fucking point. If you don't see the human commercial every once in a while, you begin to lose reality on the prospect of what you understand about art and life. And then every crazy, beautiful, epic, fucking deep moment, you seem to want to say that you understand, and that's what's aggravating. And it doesn't aggravate me. I'm far too mature now. But it is aggravating that people do that because it's like, did you understand what the other people were saying? Because I would gladly go back in line and argue over fruits and vegetables to get this place to turn down the fucking button on what the fuck they think they really persecuting us on. Because, like, it's not even just music and art. Or why you like to favor your little disgruntled bullshit about, like, oh, your self-esteem sucks, so he's the problem because he's not arrogant. Because I'm not arrogant. So why should you have a problem with me? And it's that psychoactive bullshit that you keep going like you're right no matter what, that you run into people where you're wrong about them and you look terrible and he's supposed to help you out. So now after a while, I get tired of that ticket running, ticket voucher stamping bullshit. Just get the fuck out, voucher. You know what voucher is? It's like they had the right to fucking steal your car by validating it. That's what a voucher is. They have the right to take a note of your fucking car. So I don't know, and I don't owe them. Right? It's just like things that you don't even secretly remember why. And like the court case is so flimsy that they know they could go back and redo it. You ever see that like everybody else who's like really in the judicial system ain't always religious? What if you keep going up there and you realize that they're all super duper religious and they can't even afford to leave their own fucking law system, even by the fact of what their own religion is? They can't afford to leave their own law, can't afford to leave their own religion. Of course, they would never leave their own religion, but or whatever, but it's still one of them things where they can't even afford to leave their own laws because of people like that. So no, I can't blame them. Because a lot of people wanted to, like, say some stuff, and like I never argue with any of them. I love them. So the things that you're gonna hate about Hypnox is that why isn't he arguing with them? I'm not an argumentative person at all. First off, I was having a good time and they interrupted me. So we're not talking about sex. We're talking about like the party wanted sex and it seemed a little bit depressed, so I went back and made some more party. Like I didn't judge that. I just instantly tried to make everything better. All good. Band-Aid on it. Oh. We're not out of fruits and vegetables, but they want to argue about fruits and vegetables. Good. Let them go be vegan. Vegan, what do you have to say? But these people need a commercial, and you argue with the commercial. I hate commercials, but no one needs a commercial. So why are you using Manny to argue? I wanted to know, but I did understand that it was for fruits and vegetables, and I'm here for the fruits and vegetables. God damn it. And you're one of those people. I don't like it. But, like, what were we supposed to do? They wanted to argue about something worse, like why they actually think they're right about something worse. So, yeah, fruits, salads is good with fruit fried. Fried fruit and crunchy salad that has a vinaigrette aged sauce. Yeah, anything but that shit. Because they think they right for some shit that I'm like, but you did all that arrogantly, or you only two-faced and it reminds them to survive by being two-faced. So you raised them and showed them how to survive. And then when you go off, it's like, don't you realize that that's all that's left? They remember that you taught them how to be two-faced, and the other people remember that, like, the little moment where you know everything. How are we supposed to know everything about everybody who acts like that? So they know your story, but not everybody knows that, and not everybody goes along with that. And most importantly, not everybody knows that the consequences for being two-faced is that why suffer like a lowlife with them for the honor of why you know you didn't betray any code. Understood? But in the end, the two-faced part makes it difficult for all of us to deal with, and it provides more problems. And their survival isn't as important as like why everybody's got to hustle, and it's easier for them to hustle on the argument. So you 75% outweighed us on some issue, and you're proud that you could help dissuade them into being evil and against us and better than us. Well, you're an idiot. But even if like my secret shot doesn't belong to you, and more importantly than that, why does this have to be some kind of a thing for you in your ego? But even if it's not that, and it's truly what it was, like you just raising them, and like people might not always be there for you. So you're going to have to be able to take care of yourself in a lot of ways. And that includes if your reputation is ever besmirched and you have to fight off a whole world that wants to believe some shitty reputation, you're going to have to act like that, because you don't have a reason to backstab them or to be two-faced with them, because the whole world was being two-faced and backstabby, because they allowed it and conditioned it and provided money for it and overall rewarded them for their behavior to be a worse person in society by equating that with success, or you go disambiguated. You can't do it. So there's successful, strong people who have to wear a mask for you, or everyone knows this shit game we're playing, so stop talking because it's just depressing. Hypnox, right? Because it's disgusting, right? So let's get back to the motherfucking point. They all two-faced for no fucking reason, and they make more money that way. And even when the system isn't owed anything, we don't owe the system anything, we're not the ones arguing with the system. So I didn't even pressure that dude or say anything to him, other than what I'm telling you now is that I never overtly do anything to agree with them or bother with them, right? So it shouldn't matter. So I try to leave it alone, but I just wanted you to know, secretly, no one else knows the story that we know about you, and even if they did and you proved that, it's still one of them things where I just don't know why they don't always remember. And the other people that are near you and are guilty, why should they have wiggle room for what they're going to like destroy on auto? So, like, it's on auto a little bit, right? Yeah, but you got to understand that it has to be that way or they won't do anything at all. Or, like, you see how people are. They don't give a shit about you, the system, or anything else. So even the backstabbing thing helps because they're not paying attention. No, you took advantage of us with them. You can't be that person because ultimately you backstabbing the real you. So sometimes I just leave you alone because I know when we're not around, you're supposed to be the real you. Now, how am I supposed to know if we're all supposed to have privacy, right? But I still know that the places where eventually they come to surface about your personality and I can ask you other questions than backstabbing or being two-faced, if that's like your real life. So we're not negotiating your privacy. But since you know a lot about society and you know a lot about actual life stuff and you know a lot about more than just socialistic bullshit. You have like a major in something, you have a certain type of car, you like that type of car. There's something about you that's more than just that fight. And that's a good thing, but it's also called your privacy. So I know in some way, but I didn't investigate and I always paid respects to their privacy. You see what I'm saying? But it gets to a certain surface. I just need anything that I could just be like, well, he was a bike smith. And he didn't make that much money, but he still decided to do all this shit because he got tired of like only working on bikes, being fairly rich enough to afford a car and do everything. But his whole life is about bikes, so he didn't care about a car. So he's not even that poor. But he just keeps arguing with random cars or like, you know, car people for no fucking reason and no one knows why. He's just tired of feeling like he's being run over by life because he chose a standard that actually makes him a bit comfortable and happy just working on bikes. So, you know, he likes BMX bikes and shit like that. Actually, that's his least favorite of his fucking bikes, but he likes stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like bikes and stuff. So he's not worried about the bigger vehicle. No. In fact, he finds it annoying when he has to think about it. And that's all, right? But yeah, but by the end of it, that's pretty fucking cool that there was a standard there that nobody else could see. And of course, like, don't you think that that man would feel like disgruntled about life? But now this guy's got to go be two-faced and you know, another thing on the brighter side of things, even though this is a difficult one and I respect some type of things, let's get back to the fucking point. It's like you went and you told me, hey, I accidentally dissed you because your reputation was in the way for something. And I summed it up because that's not how he said it. I'm summing it up to that because it's like, yeah, they tried to use my reputation to be a piece of shit to you for something, and you were probably being some other kind of normal man that was innocent. Let me tell you something. They're doing whatever they can to get out of it and dishonor me. You know what's honorable about it? If you just didn't want to affect it and you just wanted to get the fuck out of there and you still had to get me, my reputation, or the fake me out of the fucking way or some bullshit, then you did what you did as a man. So, like, you know what I mean? You went and did your thing. That's keeping it real. Like, I don't do that. I don't get in the way of other men. I don't give them a bunch of bullshit and problems. So by the end of it, you went your own way and you had to be like, well, you know, whatever, like, you know, like he's not a pig womanizer or something. When you find out that Hypnox is not a pervert, you're going to laugh so hard at how much bullshit men are really fucking disgusting about. So just don't worry about it and then get back to living your life. But I thank you for that. But just remember, like, you had to get them out of the way, right? And Hypnox seems stupid at the fucking time or immoral and crazy. I'm never immoral or crazy. Just remember that. Because, like, by the end of what these people think that they're fucking saying and doing, like, they think that they can honor me and let me go be a pervert. That's never going to happen. Go get a life, loser. So by the end of it, we're into art and shit and exercise. The only thing we had in common may be exercise. So, like, why would you have to be a big piece of shit? Or why all of a sudden is it get down and give me 20? Or why all of a sudden are you, like, you know, bickering them into, like, you know, body shaming? Hypnox ain't about that either. So, like, you know, it gets around to the point where, like, whatever makes sense, homie. So if you had to knock that reputation out of the way to go do some stuff, don't let them take advantage of you just because they think it's funny or they crazy. Gotta be real with you. Gotta be real with you 100%. Like, you knocked it out of the way. I love and respect you. You helped do the right job. Because I ain't no fucking pervert. I ain't no fucking credence for no bullshit. When you start to realize what this is all about, you'll start to realize how much these people like to wear that mask. And we're not talking about Hypnox. We're talking about that mask of what men think they are and how much they like to do that bullshit. But in the end, that's what hits the surface. So I'm glad that you could move Hypnox out of the way and go back to being a real man without the bullshit. But thank you for telling me that. So it's like, or don't use me at all, because you know that honorable men don't need to make no fucking mistakes. So, you know, whatever. But you know, whatever. If you saw something there and you were getting rid of something for the man, woman, child, and dog and shit, then good man, good soldier. I don't say anything about that. If you wanted to know secretly, I don't say anything about that. Even when I figure out, I'm just like, oh, they did themselves some justice. All right, no problem. It's not like, you know, I come back to my grill and someone peed in my cup and I almost took a sip of it. It's nothing like that. You shut up. Leave me alone. It's one of them situations where, like, you won't admit it. Why you won't admit it? This isn't a game. Why would you have to figure us out? What if all that team that you're looking for is all different, international from all over the world? We don't have a psychological you can take advantage of in that way because we're not guilty. See, you're guilty. So your investigation looks like dog shit. It looks like you want more power or information on the person to get an upper hand. And no matter what, it always shows through, because when you get excited and you forget that you're not actually the right one or the person that has any honor or right at all for anything, and then it shows through that you were guilty every fucking time. So then it gets to a certain point where it's just laughable. But the worst part is, are they stupid? Because why would they need to see justice or honor about a situation that's so disgusting that we don't talk about it? And you won't even admit it. If you admitted it, maybe there wouldn't be a trial. So you know what this is about. And then, like, you go and you look at the court system anyways, and what's the number one fraud in the court system? If you don't know religion, I'm going to tell you the biggest thing in the world right now. Go think about why people that are red or other cultures don't like certain types of blue. Now, you want to play like you don't fucking know and all this other bullshit, but let me put this in perspective for you. You're being interrogated very slowly. They want everything that you're worth, which seems like fucking power, and they've already proved that's not power over the history of life. So we don't know what your problem is. But after a while, it's like, why are you so guilty of everything? Why do you want a lot of people to shut the fuck up about important stuff in life? How come, like, we're all bland in a malformed society? All of those things are your fault. And you know what it has to do? The jail system. Because you're trying to get away from something. You're not trying to get any honor or an answer because you would be expired. Your bullshit is expired. We don't want people who are wrong for life, wrong for culture, wrong for fate. You did something wrong, that's your ass. We don't own a fucking judicial system. You own that. And all you did was question a bunch of people that ain't your type, and they would have gladly told you and then left. But you have a system for something, and it ain't really for punishment. You think it's for punishment, but if you go and look at the unwritten history of fucking jail, which you can find out, but you don't want to. Every psychological you know, because you feel ashamed, and you feel ashamed that your own masters feel that way, that they had to do something like that to get information from another master. We don't owe you. We don't owe you the art of death. How much times do I have to fucking say it? You did something wrong, that's your ass. We don't owe you. It's just that simple. Why I'm guarding it, because it's like, you a coward because all you wanted from me was some pussy and some bullshit, and then you want some honor because she didn't want you? I owe you. You trash, motherfucker. And you know what's weird, too? The girls don't like you, so I know. Why would I care, right? I don't base my decisions upon women. But it's still, the fact is that it's like the tribe has known, and they're like, wait, even the women know and don't like you? So it's not even a man's secret. So even when we're not a part of any of that, we know already. So, like, just get the fuck out. Women and children didn't want to be with you type of shit. So you know something's up, but you won't admit it. So you never admitted it, so they never punished you publicly? Or you know what the problem is. So you just sitting there trying to wiggle out of it. And it's unfortunate that you make up more blue psychologicals or society and the governing bodies imprisonment psychologicals than anybody else. The people that are in jail are less guilty than you in most cases, because you talking about all this shit that's like, you know, they sold some stuff because you wrong, right? You know, they didn't have enough food, they were hungry. They can't just go out in the wild and eat. Like, the whole place has been reformed to the point where you can't just go, like, live off of food that you cook, live, and hunt, and, like, too much shit in the way. So you fucked up life. But when it comes to the truth of the matter, we're not really against you because, like, you know, they have warm houses, all the normal common stuff. But the fact that you use that and take advantage of that to try to get over on people who are technically innocent, when criminals aren't really our whole problem. Even burglars aren't our whole problem. Even the technical definitions of all these things isn't our problem, because you start to realize, wow, the international world has already been dealing with all this stuff, and they are crimes because they do erode parts of society, and we're not about eroding society. But it still comes back to the fucking point. Why are you so afraid that you're willing to hide in the judicial system? So, it's not like we hate on the other religions, but the judicial system itself is almost based upon backstabbing the common man who knows what the world is supposed to be worth. What's wrong with industry? What's wrong with your memory? So the world, sooner or later, is always controlled by industry, because there's no way to grow back from wisdom that is stolen, inherited, or traded on the higher market. So you could even be a worksmithing elitist and never allow anyone to learn anything. See, these are all problems with life, because it's the ignorance that breeds the violence, because they know something is inherently wrong, down to their soul. So even by the end of it, they're not as guilty. So what you did to women and children can affect the whole fate in the world, and it degenerates the world. They don't like those type of men. You won't admit it to them, because child of men or children of women or infantile children who you knew, because it's weird how you just know all of these kids grew up almost in a independent intellectual bastardization. And you knew it. That's the only thing we have in common, that and a war brigade and punishment for your bullshit. So by the end of it, you want to hone in on it, be friends with it, and try to confuse it? What if it's like we can see very clearly, because our goals don't mean your goals? We have no goals in common. So we have no purpose to be with each other. And every time I have to go do something important, you kind of in the way, like you on my back or something, like you my friend watching my back. What if I don't believe in that bullshit? I don't believe in any nice thing you ever told me, because everything was hard as soon as you left. Only thing I got was like some fake ass meals and some good ass shit. And then I'm thinking, all right, that's cool. But then in the end, it never makes any sense for the things I have to do, the things I have to suffer, and the destiny I'm really walking. So in the end of it, you're a fucking commercial. You're a commercial for everything that I don't really need to deal with or what I do. And then it's like you're blue collar, arrogant bullshit. So, and then I don't know what the fuck your problem is. I don't even know why you want to know. I don't even know why you want to know. So we get back to the real cover story of it all. Every time I drop the truth, you seem to get a little upset and scared. And after a while, you start to realize it's not the system that's coming. It's fucking real life that's coming. Reality's hitting soon. You starting to realize that Hypnox ain't fucking around with you. I ain't here to trip with you. The party is clean already. We made sure the party was already good. No complaints. I want no complaints. I want good party. But then when it gets back to the surface level of it, what's really your problem with everything and people's happiness? See, you treaded on people's happiness too much, and they started to wake up and realize, like, you really are this fucking stupid. Like, you really are. Because it's like you want control so badly that it's like, what is the system actually worth if you're not really fighting for anything, justice or honor, when we already honored ourselves and everything? So after a while, you had no reason. So we get back to the real point of, like, you don't even see clearly. And the more we talk about it, it's like you using us for information. How about you go live your real life and stop bothering us in reality? But then it gets back to the surface issue. Why are you more guilty than jail? But you never admit it. And then the other men will never admit why the women fucking hate them, and then they jealous of some man. Has nothing to do with looks. After a while, you start to see that those greasy, disgusting ass men who can't stand being those other type of men, they got stuck being those men, and they're just as guilty as the $25 million demon motherfucker. And that's not legitimate, like 25 mil. That's a legitimacy in the fact that, like, you probably rich and crooked anyway. And most of those people that act like that, they're so greedy and money hungry, they don't care what they do to the world. So, like, you're not helping out the world with your 25. So, I don't need that kind of bullshit from you. So let's get back to the truth of the matter. You won't admit it, and then you want to bother us for power like you want an even battle. It's never going to happen. My power doesn't even barely belong to me. So it's like, okay, they gave you a giant weapon and it's used appropriately. It's not even a weapon. To you, it's a weapon. Don't you get this? Nobody's with you in this bullshit. So even when, like, you like playing that shit that nobody remembers, nobody knows what's actually going on, the more I talk about normal stuff, or the more that you keep upping it, I keep upping it. So let's just get back to the fucking point. The real point is that you refuse to duel for what? Because then it shows through. Or that if you get beat and then somehow it feels like I cheated you. Nah, I don't sit there and use magic on you. So, like, let's get back to the fucking point. The dishonorable part is when you won't admit what it is, and we all have to sit there and deal with abuse. Some people just murk you out of arrogance, or what? That's how you want to put it? Or, oh, no, I don't care. See, you have to face up to the actual fact of what's going on. See, you a sicko. Because that's all you really want is that so you can hide behind your little fake ass hustle. Don't bother me. Right? Behind your fake ass hustle. Right? That's why everybody's better off arguing over money. Yeah, right. So you can keep your commercial going. Right. Anyway, so that's all. So the demon's gonna hide behind that and keep playing commercials and acting normal. So we don't even care. But every time the truth is up to the standard, well, where's all the bullshit coming from? So you just wearing that mask and annoying people. You know what? It doesn't make any sense. And the more I make sense, the more scared you get. And, oh well, motherfucker. We disagree. How's that, bitch? And then when we get back to the normal fucking policy, we don't owe you. So no matter how much you get trivialized and your ass burnt, you already know you're one of those bad men. You're going to have to live with that the rest of your life. Or stop challenging me to fake ass duels and be about what you about. Because the punishment is real. So you afraid, so you won't admit it.